The learning objectives of the week are quick parts of Microsoft Word. The header and the footer are the most common quick parts, the upper and the lower part of the page. And then pictures. Let's color our page. It's not just pictures, it's also any other kind of graphic objects. Possibility of having a background on the page, sign each page with watermarks, that kind of thing, like confidential written on diagonal. And then something which is, not very exciting, but it's very, very useful. Margins and lists. And a third thing, which is different from margin and lists, it's multi-level list. The assignment, bye-bye, Bhutan. We are now going to work on big data. And I have a few slides on what big data is. It's important that you know something about big data, because in the next decades, when you will be working, when you will be active in your careers, the big thing will be big data. Big data is what artificial intelligence works on. Big data is the result of the Internet of the Things that's already coming of age. So something about big data, you should learn from scratch in a class of, Introduction to Professional Computing. Big data must certainly be part of your assets. So first of all, a little bit of background. We are going to create a document on big data, and I want you to be able to write on that. So let me show you a few slides about that. Big data is all the data produced by humans and machines every day, every hour, every year, which is a lot. Think about all the Gmail or all the email sent in a day over all the country, whatever country you are in. This is a kind of thing called big data. This data is not structured. In email, people write whatever they want. Yet you know that after you wrote an email talking about, I don't know, sailboats, for instance, on your screen, on the website you visit, you start to experience advertisement or information about sailboats, for instance. That's because somebody or something, some artificial intelligence program, was analyzing your data and understood that you are interested in sailboats. Now, this has happened almost in real time. You wrote an email about you would like to go sailing, and a couple of minutes later, you get advertisement about sailing. This is called velocity. One of the abilities of computers to analyze big data. Big data is so big that cannot be analyzed by a single computer. You require a very complex system to analyze data, yet this exists. Something is able to filter, to read all the emails sent in a day and understand what to tell you about your emails that were sent in a day. Imagine how many emails you sent in a day. Imagine how many emails all the users of internet send in a day. Well, 1, 2, probably, a billion, 2 billion emails are sent every day, likely. We are 1 billion people connected to the internet. Each one of us sent probably, 5 to 10 emails per day. Let's say that. So that's 5 billion emails per day, and they can be long or short. Anyway, they may talk of whatever, of anything, whatever, in many different languages too. So big data is the ability to process high volume, high velocity, and high variety information assets. Here, there's another definition of big data coming from Gartner Group, one of the most popular and also most expensive consultancy in the world, and I will leave you that to read it. That's a third definition, which I like. Something too big to be analyzed with current computers, but something which existing and future business problems. will be solved by, will be addressed by. At this point, I introduced you the sources that we will be using for big data. This is not more going to be from Wikipedia. We are going to click on the SAS Institute webpage, which I've been happily working for many years. And the SAS Institute webpage is here. And inside this page, at this URL, you will see the content that I'm going to cut and paste into my document. So the header and the footer are two restricted areas in the document writing space. You don't write content on header and footer. You write information about the content. What is information about the content? The page number, which is on the footer usually, it's an information about the content. The title of the book, or the title of the article, or the title of the chapter, which normally goes in the header. That's an information about the content, which is not really part of the content. This kind of things, like date, like, author. There are some word components already ready for you to be included in header and footer, and they are called quick parts. Let's have a look at how they work. So I will open the SAS system document and I start to cut and paste in a new blank document, paste text only, some content coming from the website, right? Copy, paste text only, and then copy, paste text only. I stop the video now and I give some style to the document meanwhile. So this is the beginning of the document that you will have to produce as an assignment. This is just the first skeleton of that document. You will have to include more chapters, more content, the cover page. Anyway, now I want to show you where is the footer and where is the header. You see that this is the content area. If you click over this area, the cursor shows up and you can type. If you click on the above, on the top part of the document, or on the bottom part of the document, you can't write until a certain point. What you can do here in this area is double click, and this is now the header and the footer well clearly shown. In the header and footer, first of all, you can write whatever you want, like big data draft report. But you can also add what is called the quick parts. Quick parts. In the Insert tab, quick parts. And quick parts are probably the best thing is to do document property, like, title. Title is now big data draft report. Rather than writing on your own, you can include the title as a building block. And as you see, I wrote it in the first page, but it's also replicated in the second page. In the footer area is normally one which is pretty much dedicated to insert the page number. Add page number, bottom of page perhaps, and like page plane number. And you can also type here page. Do you notice? Yes, page 1 and page 2 automatically. Another building block is, let's say, insert a quick part, document property, field, number of pages, format like this, and you are now able here, distancing correctly the time, to write that this is page 1 of 2, where 2 is a quick part of Word, the total number of pages that automatically Word calculates. This is one of the useful things in using the big part, the quick parts. Back in the header, as a quick part, document property author. And author is automatically inserted by Microsoft Word. The Office installation was made with Stefano Gazziano. So this is double clicking here now. Then we exit and we have now included header and footer in this document. Header and footer can also be accessed by the header or the footer section, always of the insert tab. They are most commonly accessed by double clicking on that, because automatically you go from the home tab where you usually are to the insert tab. How many quick parts we do have? Well, auto text is something that you write on your own. Document property are a dozen of already ready fields. Most of it auto abstract. Field allows you to browse through an enormous category of different automatic fields. For instance, if I happen to be in the header, I think I'm now. Date. Yeah, but I haven't looked at it anywhere. In the header, insert, quick parts, field, date. So automatically the date of today is shown up here. This is useful, for instance, when you then have to print a PDF. You will have here the date of the last version you reviewed and modified this document. The last time you open the document will be written here. So our rule, what I want you to do in this assignment, in the assignment for this week, is to insert the date, the time also, which is another field, and title of the document in the header, author and page number in the footer. Now, before leaving you for the first assignment of this week, a preliminary version of what is to be then delivered by the end of second week of online classes, I point you in this slide a recap on how the good document has to be. We start with the cover page. Then we have what I call the title page with the title and possibly an abstract of the document. After that, I want to have the table of contents. So that's going to be the talk page. Sometimes the talk page can be at the end of the document, but for these classes, I prefer you start doing things as I want and put the table of contents at the beginning of the document. And then you have the content page. So we have 4 parts: a cover page, a title page with the abstract, a table of contents page. We should think about table of contents which is not so small. If the table of contents is very small, I mean it's only 3 lines, then it can go also in the title page. But normally it's bigger than 2-3 lines, so we want to have a separate table of contents page. And then the 4th part is the content of the document itself. What's up in the paper that you are writing. Is this clear? So just briefly, you know what a PDF is. If you don't know, it's my duty to explain. It's called portable document format. That means you print as a PDF or save as PDF, and you are 100% sure and safe that who receives the PDF will see the document exactly how you prepared it. If you send the Word, perhaps the user that receives the document hasn't the same version of Word that you have, or has a OpenOffice Word, or has something else. And it might be then in that case, the document that the user receives looks different on his screen than you made it. And you don't want this, especially when you want something to be elegant. You don't want a page messed up or pictures going somewhere else. So that's the PDF. What you see is what you get, is that alphabet of letters. And it is also sometimes not modifiable or no copy. There are a couple of options you can include when you produce a PDF. But most of all is not modified. I mean, the PDF that you send can be modified by somebody else because he can read the PDF into Word and then modify it into Word. But then it's going to be a different file. Normally, when you send a PDF file, that file cannot be, the content of that file cannot be so easily modified and faked in that case. That's why the PDF exists 1 minute, 2 minutes almost